Now, welcome to our science lesson today, 14th 7 2020. That is science on the subtopic under reproduction in human beings, gestation period. Before now we talk about gestation period, we should always remember what we discussed last, because gestation period just does not just come that way, but it comes because of some processes that has happened. And the process that has happened here, the immediate process, is fertilization. That's where now we get a definition of the term fertilization being the time from fertilization to birth. That is, gestation period is the time from fertilization to birth. That means when fertilization has occurred, we have that period where now a mother takes until she gives birth. Now, it takes a period, that is the time taken. How long does gestation period take? It takes 36 to 40 weeks, or we talk of 280 days, or we say 9 months in human beings. Other animals, they have their own number of days or number of weeks or number of months that are taken. Now, this period, it has some signs that we have to observe, so that now we say this person is pregnant. We cannot just say she is pregnant. What shows she is pregnant? Number one, which is most common, is the menstruation stopping. If you get a lady, or if a lady gets herself that now there is no menstruation, this is a period that happens monthly. This is a monthly period. Now, the monthly period is what we call the menstruation days. Some takes 28 days. There is some variations. So that is menstruation stopping. That's the blood getting outside. The blood that gets outside monthly is the unfertilized ovum and the thickened uterus wall. Number two, breasts become larger, tender, and sensitive to nip and sensitive. The breast, that is the mother's breast becoming larger, it enlarges, and it becomes tender. When somebody touches it, very tender and sensitive. When you touches her, she's very sensitive. Then the nipple, that is the like a dot-like thing on the breast, becomes slightly bigger and darker. Utapata ya kwamba hiyo nipple, that is the dark part of the mother's breast, kuwa dark, and it enlarges in size. Then you talk of the uterine, the urinating, frequency urinating. Our mother visits toilets every time and then, because now she goes for urinating. Why do our mother goes on urinating frequently? Because of now the production of the waste products from the fetus. A mother has now to do these urinating processes. Number four, we talk of the craving for certain food and disliking others. Here, when you're talking about the frequency or craving is just appetites. The mother's appetite develops towards something else. Maybe it may be developing towards ugali, it may develop towards anjera. So it determines the way she takes it. So different mothers, they have different craving foods. Another mother can take porridge, another one maybe is craving for wali. So they take different foods. Then next, we talk of slight back edges. The back edges during the later stages. Now, during the later stages of pregnancy, you get a mother back is feeling pain every time and then, because of now the preparations for giving birth. The sixth sign of pregnancy, you talk of heartburn. Heartburn is experienced. This is where now you get a mother taking in a lot of water because of that heartburn. Then number 7, you talk of the abdomen enlarging. The abdomen here, you get a mother developing abdomen being large or enlarging. So every time and then you see a mother developing an abdomen, that is a sign. It is a very sensitive sign of a mother being pregnant. Number 8, you talk of breathlessness, tiredness, and increased pulse rate. When you talk of breathlessness, what causes breathlessness? What causes tiredness? What causes increased pulse rate? This is because this fetus here needs oxygen. This fetus here needs carbon dioxide to be garnered out. So that a pulse rate increasing, it means the mother's heart has to bump as much as possible, has to bump as faster as possible, so that the waste should be released, carbon dioxide, and oxygen should be fastly run into the into the fetus. So the exchange process of gases that is occurring in the fetus leads to this breathlessness and also leads to this pulse rate. And tiredness is because just of now the lack of that energy and etc. Then you talk of the craving. We said craving is an appetite. So craving for soil, that is soil, and certain stones. Specifically, you get a mother maybe develops an appetite of sandy soil, develops an appetite of loam soil, others develop an appetite of sand soil, others develop an appetite of cement. They have different appetites. Now this, why do they move to eat soils and stones? Why? The main reason why you get a mother eating soil, you should not say, oh, acha kula udongo wewe. Hawana. It's because there is lack of minerals. Because there is lack of minerals. There is minerals that are needed for formation of blood. There is like ions, we have potassium, you have calcium, which are needed for formation of blood, and also they are needed for formation of strong bones. A fetus has to develop bones, and if a fetus has to develop bones, mother has to give her or she enough minerals so that now she can develop strong bones. If that one does not occur, it means the baby will come outside, but now she will have weaker bones, and also the blood will be not that good. Then we move to sign number 10, which is talking about the movement of the fetus is felt. Now you can develop, your abdomen can enlarge, you can have a slight back edge, she can have urinating frequently, but now there is no movement of fetus. Then what is it? It means it's not pregnant. But now you must feel that there is something inside the uterus or the womb moving. That means then you may get the mother, if the mother is pregnant, you get that now every time she visited the hospital to check if the baby is not moving, no, what is happening? So they must experience the fetal movement or the fetus movement. Next, which is the last sign, is the morning sickness. Morning sickness, headache, stomach. So that one is a sign of being pregnant. Now here I say like this. You have those mothers who doesn't understand maybe if she's pregnant or not. Most of the time she wakes up, she gets herself headaching. Now if she's experiencing headache, she has to seek medication in the hospital, but not just take medicine, because that one she may have pregnancy. So to avoid other issues, you just visit the hospital and check for the pregnancy. That is all about the signs of pregnancy. That is the 11 signs of pregnancy, and it's good to get all of them. The second part, we are going to talk about the birth process, because even if we discuss gestation, it doesn't stop there. The baby or the fetus has to be taken outside to the world now. This birth process is called by the name parturition. The birth process is named parturition. If somebody asks you what is parturition, parturition is the process by which a baby is taken outside the womb after 9 months. After 9 months. If it is before 9 months, that is very unique, and maybe the baby has to be taken under a care that is artificial care, so that now he or she can develop and finish the 9 months. This we talk of now, what happened after the baby has fully developed. After the baby has fully developed, or the fetus has fully developed, what happened? The head now faces towards the cervix. It positions downwards towards the cervix. And we will come to discuss on the stages of birth process, we will come to discuss about now the process of how the baby comes outside and how now this baby gets outside. And the baby has to come outside through the vagina, facing by the head being the first thing. Now this let's stages in birth process. We said number 1 is the uterus wall contracts and causes labor pain. I repeat, uterus wall contracting, it causes what we call the labor pain. So those mothers who want to give birth, they feel pain. As now even she can say, no, I don't want to see anybody, oh, because of that labor pain. And the labor pain is caused by the contraction of the uterus wall. Number 2, we talked of the widening of the birth or of the cervix, widening of the cervix. I said a cervix is a gate that now joins the uterus and the vagina. Now this gate here opens because now the contraction upper here, it pushes the baby down, and when the baby is pushed down, now it leads to the opening of the cervix. Number 3, we talk of the amnion sac bursts, the amnion sac bursting, and the amniotic fluid flowing outside. This amniotic fluid is inside here, inside the amnion sac. When the amnion sac bursts, this is the amnion sac. When it bursts, the liquid inside here now flows outside. This liquid flows outside through where? It flows outside through the vagina. It flows outside through the vagina. Then we go to point or stage number 4, which talks about the baby is pushed outside through the birth canal, or known as the vagina, with a head first. We said here that now after the development of the baby is now the head faces down. Now here, if asked in the exam, which part of the baby comes outside first, you talk of the head. The head comes outside first. Now that is during the normal birth process. Now number 5, we talk of the breathing induced by pinching. Breathing is induced not on the mother, but is now induced on the baby that has now been born. The baby that has been born is now, the pinching is where the pinching is induced. How do you induce the pinching and panting? You don't punch on the stomach, but you punch on the sitting apparatus. So you punch the baby so that now he or she can breathe in oxygen. When he breathes in oxygen, or when he cries, he opens up the lungs so that now he or she can accommodate his or her own oxygen, and also he or she can give out carbon dioxide, because initially she or he was using the oxygen from the mother's blood, was giving out carbon dioxide, and it was taken out by the mother. But now he is alone or she is alone, so he has to develop the lungs so that now they can carry out the process of breathing. Number 6, we talk of the umbilical cord is tied and cut. The umbilical cord is tied and cut. Why do we tie the umbilical cord? The reason why we tie the umbilical cord is very simple. You know, during the umbilical cord carries blood from the mother. Now we tie the umbilical cord very well so that now we avoid the blood from the mother to enter into the baby's body, because the umbilical cord is still joining the baby and the mother. Now you have to tie very well so that now you avoid the blood of the mother to enter into the baby. This prevents most of the diseases. Maybe if a mother has a disease, it can be transmitted during birth process. For example, HIV. If now you tie it poorly, you get that now the blood of the mother will enter in the baby. And if a mother has maybe STIs, that is the sexually transmitted diseases, when the mother maybe has the HIV/AIDS, it will be transmitted during this process. It is transmitted during the tying and cutting. So the person who is to carry out the process must be keen so that he avoid or she avoids the blood transfusion from the mother to the baby. Now the umbilical cord, we said, is the joining point between a mother and the fetus. Now when the fetus comes outside, this umbilical cord also follows the baby to the outside. But now to separate the mother from a baby, you still have to cut. That's why we said we tie and cut. The last stage, we talk of expulsion of the placenta. Expulsion of the placenta. You know, this placenta here cannot remain here, obvious, when the baby has moved outside, because its function is done. Now the placenta has to move outside also. Now it is the last thing that happens. If a mother has given birth, you get now, she has now to do what? To remove the placenta to the outside, so that now the uterus or the reproductive part can remain open and safe. Now this placenta is called the birth after birth. It's called the after birth. That's now you say, maybe if a mother has given birth, and you get now this placenta is not taken out, you get now it has to be dashed. There is operations that should be done in the hospital so that she can be assisted. The same happens to the animals. You get, if a cow has given, the cow gives birth, you get now the placenta has to come out, and if the placenta does not come outside, it means now we need to carry out medication and also operation so that we can take it outside. If it remains inside, it may cause destruction of the reproductive parts. It may cause the destruction of the reproductive parts. Now that is all about gestation and the birth process. That's all about gestation and the birth process. Now, in summary, you should understand the signs of pregnancy. That is the 11 signs. You should understand the birth process, because in exam you may be asked which one of the following shows the correct stages of the birth processes, or you may be asked Roman 1, Roman 2, Roman 3, Roman 4, Roman 5, and they have mixed them. So if they mix them, you have to understand which one is the first stage, the second stage, third stage, until you get to the expulsion of the placenta. Now, questions that are mostly asked to this topic. Number 1 is all about the fetus. The fetus. Number 2, the amniotic fluid, the function of the amniotic fluid. Number 3, the placenta, that's the function of the placenta. Number 4, the amniotic sac. Why a sac? Then the number 5, we talk of now the umbilical cord. What is the function of the umbilical cord? And the other thing that is commonly asked is, where does fertilization take place? Where does fertilization takes place? And here is where the fertilization takes place, which is called the oviduct. This is the oviduct. This is the oviduct. That is where fertilization takes place. Now, there is a part that I would like to clarify. This part is talking about now tying of the umbilical cord, preventing further loss of blood from the mother and the baby. That one I have illustrated. Number 2, we said the part that remains on the abdomen of the baby, which is called the stump. We have a part. Now the part after you cut the umbilical cord, you will get a baby remaining in such a part. This part, that is the stomach of a baby. Now we have cut the umbilical cord. This part here is what we call the stump. Is what we call the stump. Now the stump is the part that remains on the stomach of a baby. That is here, and I think everybody has it, unless otherwise. Now the stump heals and forms what we call a navel. This part, this is when before healing. This is before healing. This is before healing. After healing, this stump is called navel. That is on the stomach. This is the stomach of a baby now. Talking of the stomach of a baby. Just a simple illustration of a baby. Now this is the stomach. This part here is what we are calling a stump before healing, but after healing we call it a navel. Now everybody has a navel. Everybody has a navel. He or she does not have a stump. A stump is when before healing. After healing we call it a navel. That one brings us to the end of gestation period, and also it brings us to the end of the stages in birth process. So it is now good to have questions, so that now you look at the KCSE questions, that are the KCPE questions that have come during the years, so that you do revision on them, and we are going to carry out that one as time goes by. Otherwise, keep reading, keep following, because now this is a process, you know, and science needs more of illustration and research, so that now you can obtain more information about these processes. Thank you very much. Let's meet during our next lesson, inshallah.